Yeah. My guy in the background. Just walked in on the Stone section. He's like, hey, check it out. Jeff Dubay Show on a Monday for us. The big wide world of podcasting. It could be any fucking day that you listen to it. Just as long as you listen to it multiple times, if you don't mind.
Over.
But for us, correct. Everything about this place, the new Alive and Social Studios, what are they called? Southtown Studios or Southside
Studios, which I'm gonna imagine that's been used before.
Everything, no diggity, but everything about it is fantastic, and it gets better every time I come in. We got new equipment, we got the soundproofing stuff in the studio. We get DirecTV, and then it takes a step. It's the old 2-step forward, 1-step back thing. We got a fucking soccer game on the TV right now. I mean, what?
Well, this is on ESPN. This is highlights. So this is it's a soccer.
So I'm watching
highlight
a
show.
fucking soccer highlight show. That's even worse.
Which I actually love, but I'll change it just for you.
Thank you. You love soccer. Do you really love soccer?
Well, I mean, I enjoy watching highlights. I'm not a big soccer
guy.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, how long does it take to run through a highlight reel of any individual game? I mean, a goal, maybe 2.
You can go through pretty much
here's a guy holding up a
game.
yellow card, and we're done, and we're out. I mean, there's just not a lot to highlights in soccer. There's just not a lot to fall back on. You know what I'm saying?
No, you get the 3 goals per game, if that, and they're all usually they're pretty actually. So you got that. I like highlights. All right,
pretty in the eye of the beholder, apparently. But anyway, it is the Jeff Dubay Show, and for us, it's Monday. It means it's Super Bowl week. It's the beginning of the week of just hype, garbage. Basically, the work that these teams do for the Super Bowl is done. They do it all the week before. They have a regular week of practice. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then they hop on a plane and go to Arizona and hope that their players don't get hookers and blow. The coach spends a sleepless week in his room thinking, you just don't go out and get hookers and blow. Because eventually somebody does. I mean, Eugene Robinson. I mean, somebody just breaks down at some point and says, I got to go get myself a hooker and do an 8-ball. It is what it is. It's the Super Bowl. So this long week of sleeplessness begins for the coaches. And then the media just feeds into the frenzy with stupid stories. And here's what I hate. In this world of notice me now, look at me, give me attention. I'm a nobody, but I should be famous for no good reason. Twitter, Facebook, reality shows. Some jackass is going to try to make a name for himself on Media Day. Is it Wednesday? Is it Tuesday or Wednesday?
No idea.
Some Baba Booey
Wednesday,
fuckhead is going to fucking run around just being he's going to be in a wedding dress or something stupid, and he's going to think that this is going to be my day. This is going to be the day they all remember that I came into the scene and made a name for myself. Some jackass who wants to be a star, although he has no discernible skills or talent whatsoever. He's just going to bombard Media Day with idiocy. But it's the week that it is. It's just and all we can say is, well, thank God it's not a Green Bay Packers Super Bowl. I mean, we spent a week listening about how Aaron Rodgers walks on water and shit like that. But we can only.
You sound like you're not full of opinions on Deflategate. I'm shocked.
I couldn't care less about
it. It's the only storyline going right now for the Super Bowl.
I don't care about it at all.
No, I know it's not. It's a non-story. But is that a good thing or bad thing that there isn't a bunch of other bullshit going around?
Well,
that there isn't another story. Maybe that's a good sign that these are 2 quality clubs. They really are.
They are, and I think. I don't know that there aren't storylines to it. I just think that Belichick cheating is going to trump anything.
Yeah.
I mean, don't you think? I mean, it's. Let me set the stage. I haven't had it properly. Whoa! Look at that. It's like is this a fucking microphone or is it a tetherball game?
I think you got to tighten it down there to do that.
See how wildly this thing swings back and forth. All right.
Jeez.
I have badump. Let me set the stage because I never really did set the stage properly. Jeff Dubay Show Monday, Super Bowl week. Jason McGovern, my guest, personality and fitness expert. Is it fitness and personality or personality and fitness? I always get them backwards.
Personality and fitness.
Personality and fitness expert.
.com.
Personalityandfitness.com. Jason Linse, fresh off a trip to San Francisco, a place I've never been but would love to go. Although my Haight-Ashbury days are definitely behind me. Copyright the common man. Did you go to the Haight-Ashbury neighborhood intersection?
No
whatever?
Hookers, no blow.
Oh, that's what Haight-Ashbury is these days?
I don't know.
It's not a hippie haven. It's full of hookers and blow. Or is that the Tenderloin?
It's been a few years since one time I was in San Francisco and somebody drove me through that neighborhood, but I don't remember.
Sure, somebody drove you through. But yeah, the cab driver that you asked to take you there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, seriously, San Francisco, you've been there before?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So it's not a first time?
Yeah, but I was actually in Napa, or up in the Napa area. But I flew into San Francisco and you had to go through the city to get up to Napa.
Okay. So, I'm not familiar at all with Northern California.
Yeah, it's
doing some wine tasting.
Traffic sucks. No, I had a client,
and
a client up there in the Napa area. But I did stay in wine country Saw many
wine country.
many fields of grapes.
That was me being one of the whiners. Remember the whiners? We're in the whiners.
From SNL, yeah.
But
finally, a reference I got.
Thank you.
Screw wine. Lagunitas Brewery is up there where I stay.
I love Lagunitas.
So I got to go to the brewery, and it's really cool. They have this area where, literally every night, hundreds of people come. I couldn't believe how busy it was.
What's Lagunitas? How come I don't know that name?
It's
a
a California brewery.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
It's a really good craft beer. They've been around for probably at least 10, 15 years.
where can you get it in the cities?
Well, you know what?
You can get them pretty much anywhere.
Yeah.
Any liquor store and a bunch of bars too. Yeah.
They just last spring opened a brewery in Chicago. They're based out of Northern California.
Okay.
But they've moved so they could distribute to the East Coast. Probably.
Now they're in both places. Yeah.
So cool trip. I take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a work trip, but I got to squeeze in some fun.
Yeah. I got the picture of Alcatraz.
Oh yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad. Have you ever been out there?
Yeah.
Take the tour?
Took my parents out there about 3-4 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
That would be creepy to me. That's one of the creepier places I could imagine. I visited Ellis Island. I thought Ellis Island was fucking creepy.
It's really creepy.
Yeah.
Ellis Island is really creepy.
You take a boat out there, obviously, but.
They discontinued the submarine?
Well, you could probably swim if you wanted, but they the creepy thing comes in when you get inside the prison and you go inside the cells.
Oh yeah.
Walking outside around is really cool, but it's
I don't know. I mean, I'm not like one of these people, these haunted house kind of people, or feeling presences of the presence of this spirit or that. I mean, I'm not a Ouija board kind of a guy, but shit like that still kind of creeps me out a little bit. I mean, like you just said, Jay. So Ellis Island. I mean, you just can't. You're standing there and they're telling you about all the immigrants that just got here and just said fuck it and killed themselves because they were never going to get off Ellis Island.
You feel ghosts in that building.
It's creepy.
It's super creepy, and it's because you can feel a presence around you.
It's a weird, it's just a weird thing. And like I said, I'm not a Ouija board kind of a guy, but there's some things just kind of wig me out a little bit. That's I think Alcatraz would just go off the scale for me for creep factor. I mean, I think I'd be weirded out
because of the people that have died there, or just because of the maniacs
and the people
that have
who were
been
there.
locked up
Isn't that where Capone died?
I don't know. It's a good
don't know
question.
that one
I don't think there was a whole lot of people dying there.
He had syphilis.
Natural causes, maybe.
Well, he died of syphilis in prison.
I thought that was Nietzsche.
Maybe both.
I thought.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. They probably gave it to each
Bad
other.
movie reference.
But I'm thinking of Nitti. Frank Nitti was his right hand man. Capone's. That's what I thought you meant.
No.
I got the names.
No.
Who's Nietzsche? What?
It was a bad movie reference.
I'm sorry. Because wasn't Frank Nitti Capone's right hand man? Frank Nitti.
I have no idea who that is.
No, it really
I don't
was.
either, no.
I swear to God, it was.
This is good so far.
No,
we'll go with it.
But anyway, it is Super Bowl week. It's a game that actually in recent years, last year being a notable exception, has actually gotten decent. I mean, for the first 30 years of my life, I don't remember there being a Super Bowl that was like even a reasonably good game. I mean, it was just garbage. You won.
Yeah.
I mean, just blowout after blowout after blowout. Obviously, I'm watching my team lose 4 times, and I do remember 2 of them actually really clearly for some reason. And I don't remember why. I don't remember the Pittsburgh game clearly because the Miami game was the year before. I remember Miami. And I remember Oakland really clearly.
And you were young I was
going to say, what was the last
like
year?
5 years old, 4 or 5.
What was the last year they made
it? My dad. 76, 77. Okay. There. I was like 8, 9. I mean, that one I remember that they were shitty in the first half. Showed a little spark in the third quarter, and I ran and put my Viking helmet on and sat and watched it. So I was trying to you develop superstitions at a young age.
That was your rally cap?
I remember the one thing I remember about the Miami game. That's exactly right. And the one thing I remember about the Miami game is my dad bitching about arm tackles because Larry Zonka was just like running through us. Like Zonka was just a physical, tough guy, and he was just like running over our defensive line, our linebackers. And my dad was yelling about stop trying to arm tackle. That's my one memory of that game. But for some reason, in between those two, the 16-6 loss to the Steelers, which is. That's when we hang our hat on. We had 16-6. We were right there. It wasn't for that damn safety. That was. I don't remember that one at all. I remember nothing of that one at all. But
weren't we favored in all 4 games?
No.
All 4 Super Bowls? No.
No, we were heavy favorites against the Chiefs. Beyond that, I don't know. But I can't believe we were favored against the Raiders. I don't think we were favored against the Raiders, but I could be wrong. I do remember shortly after the Raiders game. I give Peyton Manning credit for his fantastic Saturday Night Live appearance. You've heard me mention it numerous times, and this is like phony United Way commercial, one of the funniest things I've ever seen. After the Raiders game, Fran Tarkenton kind of blazed the trail by appearing on Saturday Night Live, where he boldly predicted the Vikings would be in the Super Bowl again next year, and lose again. It was pretty funny.
That's good.
It was a really good line. It was in his little opening monologue. So yeah, Peyton Manning, credit for his appearance a year ago. Oh, sorry, my bad.
Watch yourself.
But he didn't. He's not the first. Fran Tarkenton blazed that trail. But can you remember the first time you actually sat down and watched the Super Bowl and thought, "Hey, this is a hell of a game"? I mean, it took forever. The first one I can think of would be Broncos. Niners Bengals.
Well, I was going to say
the John Candy game.
Do you remember early '90s Niners Chargers? And it was 21-0
that was
before I had my second beer going.
That might have been the worst ever. That might have been the worst ever.
And I drink fast.
Oh, you got a message on my phone.
All right.
It's for you. God, it gets hot in this room. That is at.
I'll respond. Don't worry.
All right. Anyway, I remember the Niners Bengals game was the first game that I remember watching and being like glued to, and that's the last minute drive. Montana down the field,
right? Yeah.
Gets into the huddle and says, "Hey, they're losing with like a couple minutes to play, and they're up against it." He gets in the huddle, and said, "Hey, everybody, notice there's John Candy right here." He pointed out John Candy.
It's like 1982. That one was it?
Oh no, this was like late '80s.
Oh, okay.
It was Sam Weich was the coach of the Bengals. Boomer was probably the quarterback by then. So yeah. So it was the second time they played. It was the outdoor game, and he hit Taylor on a slant to win it, like with just 30 seconds left or less. It was that was a good one. But that would have been. Now again, you're better dates than me. The Giants, Bills, Norwood's miss. Was that before or after? That's after, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
that was during the war. That was the Whitney Houston Super Bowl.
It was 91 or 2.
There we go. God, these chords and things.
Early 90s.
I'm not used to the new setup in here. Yeah, so that's the Whitney Houston Super Bowl, right? Where she brought everybody to tears with this, with the lip sync national anthem. That was supposed to be, just the showstopper. But that is the game that started the Bills. Down this horrific road of failure. I mean, the Bills were a significant favorite in that Super Bowl against the Giants, and they had. I didn't remember this. I just read this today. They were winners in the AFC Championship game over the Raiders, 51-3. 51-3. That makes 41 donut look like nothing.
That's true.
51-3, and they wound up losing to the Giants. That was the Norwood 42-yarder. I don't recall wide left or wide right. My memory fails me. But
were any of those Bills games close? I was still pretty young.
Oh, that one. Yeah, they lost 20-19.
There's just the one out of the 4?
Well,
4 in a row.
Yeah. They got killed in everyone after that.
Okay,
including the Giants taking them behind the woodshed. The Redskins taking them behind the woodshed here at Metrodome. I believe that is the Thurman Thomas helmet game. Correct?
Sounds accurate.
I mean, do you remember that? Thurman Thomas couldn't enter the games. He could not find his helmet.
Yes.
I mean, what an idiot.
What
a jackass.
Happen?
I mean, he was like the first series of the game because he couldn't find his helmet. I mean, that blows my. I
don't remember
Can you imagine that happening today. That would never.
It's crazy.
Today.
Well, it's not like it was
4 people would be fired if that happened.
It's not like it was like 1940. It was just a few years ago.
Yeah.
Sure, it's not that long ago.
But I mean,
20 years ago.
Thurman Thomas had a fairly significant role in the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, just a little.
I mean, I don't know how that. Somebody give him a helmet. I mean, you got a whole team of guys. Get somebody on special teams. He should have taken Norwood's helmet with the one single bar, the kicker. With the
I remember that. It was too small for his head or something, right?
I think it would look funny to see a running back out there.
I've never seen him in that though.
I think it'd be funny to see a running back out there with like a single bar face mask, running around like Joe Theismann. Joe Theismann, the last real player to wear a single bar face mask. I mean, when I say real player, we exclude kickers and punters.
Word.
But I mean, Joe Theismann played quarterback with a single bar.
How many times did he break his nose?
I don't know. It's a good question. But I
guarantee it took a couple clotheslines.
Well, ironically, it was his leg that ended it all for him. But there's not much you can do no matter what the face mask is. But, the Super Bowl year after year was all this hype, and you would get to the game, and it would just be like, you're waiting for a collapse. One team or the other is going to collapse. And I don't know. It just got to the point where you just stopped expecting games to be good. And then we had a run where they almost all were good. Oh, that magnet. That magnet's the bane of my existence. That thing. Whenever I'm at your place, that thing falls off the refrigerator, and it's landed on my foot a couple times. I mean, seriously.
Okay, this isn't it. This is one I keep on top of the fridge, but I do have one on the fridge that says Key West on it.
Yeah.
It's never ever fallen once for me. So what the hell are you doing?
I'm sweating my ass off.
Open the fucking freezer like a...
He's slamming the fridge door. And
aggressive and shit.
We got windows open and the door open, and I'm still sweating my ass off in here. Isn't it crazy? I can't sit in this room and do a show. But
you always wear a hoodie. You could probably go.
It's winter time. That's how you dress in the winter.
Not in the studio.
I'm comfortable. I think it's nice in here.
Well, I'm always the hot guy. I mean, not in the good way.
A beer?
It's whether we're at Devil's Advocate, whether we're here, no matter where it is. I'm always the guy who's sweating his ass off during the show. But hang on, Let me just do a little swig of the Dr.
When
Pepper.
you're hot, you're hot.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, the show's already dying. What are we? I'm dying.
Well,
We're
actually,
15 minutes in.
I got to get your take on this, and I know you're not interested in Deflategate, but I saw a story today that said that the Patriots fumble less than any outdoor team by like half, and they're trying to say that would also be part of if the balls were deflated. What if they really were doing this for years, and it really has made that big of an impact? Then it's a big deal.
What I want to know is why you think it's a non-story, in such contrast to me that think it is a story. I mean,
it was an article that I read. I guess it would have been late last week, like Thursday-ish, almost a week ago. Joe Theismann was talking about, he did a blind test. He had somebody inflate a football properly. Then he had another one inflated, 2 pounds light. And they were handed to him. He handled it. Tossed it around, threw a little pass here. He handled his balls, tossed them around a little, and he said he couldn't. He was unable to identify which was which, and he saw no discernible difference. And then I saw an interview with Aaron Rodgers, where Aaron Rodgers said that he can't throw an underinflated ball. But if anything, he wants it overinflated, and he thinks, and he said, and he was not making a line or a joke here. What he thinks is there should be a minimum that a ball could be inflated to, but there should be no maximum. You should be able to pump it up like an Itza ball if you want to. I mean, you can pump that thing up to
well, because there'd be no real advantage to that unless you're just a quarterback that likes throwing that. But it's going to be harder to catch, hard to hold on to.
Yeah, we consider and say there's no advantage, but Aaron Rodgers himself just said the more air in a ball, the better it is for me to throw. So, it's a
advantage or no advantage. I just want to know if they did it.
Well,
yeah,
that's all I care about.
And apparently they got a guy. I mean, there's now a scapegoat, a guy for the staff that they have footage.
Really?
Fox has footage of a guy in there deflating the balls.
Oh,
that's the latest story today.
Well, okay. I mean, I don't doubt that it was done intentionally. I never doubted that it was done intentionally. I mean, you have the referees go over 24 footballs, 12 from each team. And test them and then put them in, here's the ball bag for the Patriots, here's the one for whatever. You take them off to your locker rooms. At that time they're the same. And so by the end of the game, one bag is 2 pounds lighter per ball than the other bag. Something's happened. Yeah. It's not like it's 30 degrees colder on one sideline. Right. I mean, there's no freakish explanation. Clearly they did this. So I mean, the fact that there might be a security camera showing some minion, deflating football doesn't shock me. But it's not like he was just sitting in the locker room, just get some wild hair up his ass.
Just on his own.
Yeah, I mean, this is clearly something that's orchestrated. This is clearly something that comes down from either Brady or the OC or the head coach. I mean, it's not just a ball boy. It's not some rogue ball boy.
No, Brady and Belichick are in on it.
No, they for sure told him exactly how they wanted it.
Correct.
Otherwise, why would you do it?
Yeah,
but there's two things about this bug me. I mean, the number one is the fact that guys like Aaron Rodgers say, an underinflated ball is horrible. I don't want anything to do with it. A guy like Theismann saying that I can't tell the difference one way or the other. But the second thing that bothers me about it is if there's such a potential advantage gained by this, then how the fuck does the league have a policy in which you take your footballs, I'll see you in a couple hours. Right. I mean, give me a goddamn break. That's the dumbest, weakest. If they can really gain an advantage by doctoring the football, then why do you give them the opportunity?
2.5 hours you give them.
It's ridiculous. I mean, what is the league? If this really, really matters, then how are they getting access to the football? Is anybody else?
No, I agree with you. I don't think it. I don't.
And they won't ever again.
They still would have won 45-3. They still would have be in the Super Bowl, no doubt. But it's a taint on Tom Brady, Mr. Pierre's record, don't you think?
And I do want to. I'll look it up. I got to get those statistics though on the phone.
He must have nailed an ugly chick. He must have gotten drunk and nailed an ugly chick at some point in his life, just one time. That'd be the other. That'd be the first.
Oh,
mark.
I'm sure.
That'd be the first mark. But this would be strike two. This would be strike.
He went to Michigan, right, before he was famous.
That's correct. He was famous at Michigan.
Ann Arbor's a whore.
Sorry. That's correct. Yeah. I've seen those shirts.
Yeah.
I've seen those shirts. I don't really get it.
I don't either, but it's funny.
Yeah,
for some reason, it's funny.
Here's where I get a little out of touch on things. The last couple of years of my life, I've gotten away from live television. I think I've made this clear in the past that all I need is a laptop and a high-speed Wi-Fi connection to watch all the porn I want. No, that's not what I mean. But I mean,
truth.
TV. When it comes to TV,
#truth.
No, I watch Netflix. I watch shows on Netflix. I'll dial up sporting events on watchespn.com, NBCSports.com, firstrow.org. I mean, I watch sporting events online. From time to time, I'm getting like a little bit of live television, but I don't watch a lot of news. I mean, I read the paper, I read stories on the internet. But when you're not watching live TV, you don't. What you don't get is the hype. I mean, you'll get the news because I'm on StarTrib.com or ESPN.com or whatever on my phone, so I'm getting the stories. but you're not getting how much hype it's getting.
Right.
Like when you watch SportsCenter, like if you're home all day and you watch like a SportsCenter marathon, you get a better idea of just how crazy the story is and how big of a deal people are making out of it. But that's something I don't have a feel for. This is the people are still hyping the shit out of it.
And actually, I'm with you. You know this. I don't have ESPN. I don't have cable.
Right.
It's through my Facebook. It's through some friends I talk to. So I really don't have a gauge either. I just bring it up because me personally, you and I talked about it over the weekend, or when it happened last week, and I'm like, you don't care, and you're like, I don't give a shit. I'm like, well, advantage or not advantage, I just think it's interesting that you got Belichick and Brady. I just want to know if they're in on it. Was it going to change my opinion of Brady? Yeah, it might.
Well, here's what I think is going to be.
He knows it's against the rules, and he's telling Ballboy to go fucking do it. That bothers me.
Well, here's what I'm curious. Here's the element of it that I have some interest in, and that is, it's been, and I have no sympathy for Roger Goodell. I have no respect for Roger Goodell. I think he's a fraud. I think he's just a complete tough guy fraud, and just as phony and transparent as a human being could possibly be. Nonetheless, from his perspective, he's got to be thinking to himself, worst fucking year ever. I got to deal with Ray Rice, which I fucked up. Then I got to come down way too hard on Adrian Peterson. And that's still, the fact that he missed an entire season for this, I think is borderline criminal. I think it's actionable because he's got a fucking policy. Goodell has a policy that he instituted because of Ray Rice and Adrian Peterson, in which he toughened up the rules, where he said no more dicking around. If you get any kind of a domestic kind of assault or domestic kind of abuse kind of a situation, first offense, we're giving you 6 games. So we're not fucking around anymore. Okay, well, first offense, he missed a season. He missed a goddamn season. He missed 15 games. How you could possibly think you could justify this? I think it's an actionable mistake made by the NFL. If I was Adrian Peterson, I would go forward with every possible lawsuit at my disposal. I know you got paid during this. It was not... he didn't get paid during the suspension once the suspension became official. But somehow you were forced to sit out 15 games for something that should not have been more than 6. And this is Goodell, thinking he's bigger than the game, thinking he can do whatever he wants, thinking he's trying to be this big, fake tough guy because he was trying to make up for Ray Rice. So I've got no sympathy for Goodell in the big picture. But trying to look at this from his perspective, he's coming off this terrible fucking year where he fucked up everything. I mean, he was faced with some sticky situations, but he fucked them all up and was exposed for the fraud that he is. And then all of a sudden, he's got to be like, okay, thanks, guys. I mean, we're going into this week. We're going into Super Bowl week. We're going into the biggest media hype event in the history of the world. It's obviously the week that we've got all the focus and all the attention. And I've got to deal with somebody fucking taking the air out of football. And the thing is, not only is it in your face because of what they did, it's an in your face because he can't do a damn thing about it. What's he going to do? Suspend Brady for the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
What's he going to do? Is he going to name the Colts the AFC de facto champion? I mean, there's not a fucking thing he can do about this other than sit there and say, "Thanks, Bill. It's Tom." I mean, this is great. I mean, so what I'm looking forward to is when the season ends and they get all their facts together and they draw their conclusions. Is he going to have, I don't want to say the balls, because when he has balls, they're fake balls. Like when he took out Adrian Peterson, he wasn't being, this ballsy defender of truth and justice. He was being, the coward who hides behind, false bravado and doesn't do the right thing. He does the thing that he thinks is going to be well received. So he's not a ballsy guy, Goodell, isn't he? I think he's the definition of a coward. But is he going to be pushed into a corner here where he's got to do something? I mean, he suspended Sean Payton for a year. Is he going to suspend Bill Belichick for a year? Does he have the kind of stones to step up and do something like that in the offseason? And again, not ashamed to say stones, if they're false balls.
Yeah.
They're testicular implants.
Yeah, I think he has the stones to do it. I don't think anything's going to happen personally.
Well, his job is to protect the image of the league.
Right.
What's worse for the league, suspending Belichick for a year or not suspending him at all?
Correct.
I think keeping him out for a year makes it look like it was even worse than it was, which makes it look like the league can be cheated, which makes the league look bad. To me, you make it look like it's not that big of a deal. You fine him $100,000 again, and you make it go away. He's not going to show balls here.
Well, that's the thing. He doesn't. I hate even using that phrase because it makes it sound like we think he's gutty or he's got courage or he's driven to do the right thing when he's not. He's the ultimate take the temperature of the public and let me get on the bandwagon. He wasn't suddenly more outraged. When he went from 2 games to a season on Ray Rice or whatever he did, it's not because he became suddenly outraged. It's because people realized he wasn't tough enough. So that's, I mean, so he finger to the wind. Oh, I got to come down tougher on him.
Well, where do you think the public comes down on this then? So if he gauges the public, do you think that, and especially what if the Patriots win the Super Bowl? Yeah. Then you're really tainting that win if you punish him big time. Yeah, he's in a tough spot.
Well, and this is a tough one to gauge too. Because how outraged do you think the public is? I mean, I don't know that they're that outraged. I mean, and again, this comes at the end of a season in which you had, Ray Rice, speed bag his girlfriend in a fucking elevator, fiance, whatever, and where you had Peterson, go and flog a kid with a tree branch. I mean, so do you think people are outraged about air pressure? I don't know. It's just hard to feel.
By the way, are they going to be checking them before the game, during the game? What's the plan for the Super Bowl?
There's got to be a guy that's checking them every 2 minutes.
Right. And if so,
I guess.
I mean, boy, if the Patriots have been doing this, even though some people say, like Theismann, there's no difference.
Right.
Clearly, they think there is.
Right. Well, what if they come out and throw 3 picks and fumble 4
times?
Exactly. That's when we'll know.
Yeah. And I tell you what, the image of Belichick and Brady it's been tarnished for a couple of reasons. Before this, I'm talking about prior to this, and the signs, the ceiling signs, taping the Jets on the sideline, stealing signs is one of the problems.
Yeah.
But the fact that they've become, an epic Super Bowl choker. I mean, I'm sorry, but they were massive favorites in both the games against the Giants, and were by far the better team on paper both times, especially when they were 16-0. I mean, and that's a choke. I mean, there's no doubt that the pressure.
It's not as big a choke as Green Bay did last week, but
it's in a different kind of a realm. I mean, going into the game, you wouldn't expect I don't say nobody expected Green Bay to win, but they were a touchdown.
No, I know they were dogs, but
so it's. I mean, what's a bigger
second half choke?
Yeah, I mean that's when you are ahead by 12 points and you got the ball with like 4.5, 5 minutes left. It's I mean that's an epic choke. There's no doubt about that. But the Patriots have become a team that has started to fail in Super Bowls. I mean, it's as opposed to a team that just went and crushed.
Did they lose the last two? Were they 3-0 and now they're 3-2?
Yes,
Is that
yes,
okay?
There's
some pressure.
They're 3-3 if you go way back to the team that lost to the Super Bowl shuffle.
Correct. The Brady Belichick era. Yeah.
Correct. So I mean, they've gotten to a point where they are looked at as Super Bowl failures, but they're also getting to the point where they haven't won anything since the Cheatgate, whatever the Jets thing was called.
Spygate.
So Spygate, thank you. I knew it had a name. They have not won anything of significance since Spygate. So people look at them now and say, what can you do without cheating? I mean, and I'm not saying that their success of those first 3 wins was due to cheating, but they haven't won anything since they got caught. And there are people that's going to sit badly with.
That's why I think it's interesting to see what the public reaction to this is, because I think that the Patriots are a lot like the Yankees. There's nobody that's on the fence. I mean, everybody hates them or loves them.
Right.
And so whether or not they were cheating. Well, and I think there's a lot of people out there that if they're cheating, they still love them. Like they're going, you know what, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. There's a lot of people out there like that. So you're not going to get a lot of outrage either way on this one. I think people that support them are going to support them anyway, and people that hated them anyway, they're not going to freak out about it. So that's why I don't know what you do here, especially if there really is footage and you find out this is something they've been doing for a long time on purpose.
Right.
Again, I don't know how much you really do for your image by punishing the hell out of them, especially if you suspend Belichick for a year.
Yeah, it's a tough call.
How much money is Ball Boy going to make out of this? That's what I want to know. I mean, they're going to silence his ass, right? I mean, they've stroked him a check already, guaranteed.
Got him out of the country.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's what he should have done.
He's in the witness protection program.
Yeah, mafia style.
And I tell you what, there are so many reasons to not like New England, but for some reason, I don't not like New England. And I can't say I like them, but I don't not like them.
I love Tom Brady. Bill Belichick's a douchebag.
Yeah, I hate Belichick. Love
see,
Brady,
I don't hate Belichick, and I don't know what it is.
I hate his shirts.
I don't hate the guy, just the cheating.
That's people
the deal.
hate. But for some reason, the guys that people hate are guys that and I'm not trying to be a contrarian. I'm not trying to be Barrero here, but I like Nick Saban. I mean, I can't help it. I think Nick Saban's a cool guy. I like Jim Harbaugh. I think these are just funny guys who are arrogant, yes, but I mean they're just so above the people they have to deal with that they get bored with it and they just seem disrespectful. But I'm just kind of like, hey, I've been there.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. No, but seriously, like Saban when he gets fed up with the media, I don't blame him. And Harbaugh, I just think.
Belichick doesn't even give the media the time of day.
No, he takes it to another level.
Yeah.
Belichick was fine with me until Spygate. That was the problem.
Yeah.
I can't look past that.
But
and then on the other team, the Seahawks
I hate
coach,
Gronkowski. I hate Gronkowski. I can't stand. He's one of the biggest
because of his
meathead.
last name.
Well, he's just the biggest meathead I've ever. I mean, he's just one of those guys. Like, he's basically.
I've never heard him talk. Is he an idiot?
Oh, he's a complete meathead. Complete meathead. I mean, he would have
even amongst football players.
He would have fit in perfectly, like as Ogre's right-hand man in Revenge of the Nerds. Like just a dumb jock football player. Nerds. I can just see Gronkowski step up after the post-game press conference and go, nerds. I mean, he's just that kind of. He's just a meathead. There's just no other way to put it. I mean, just a jackass idiot meathead. And I mean, to think that the dichotomy of New England tight ends just 2 years was a homicidal maniac and basically a frat boy, Revenge of the Nerds idiot jackass. I mean, God, I cannot stop
hitting my microphone.
I need some room for my hands. This is a
don't.
bad setup. I'm very animated when I speak.
Down.
But I don't know. I don't have reasons to like New England, but I've had a hard time hating them. And one of the reasons I was really buying him a few years ago is I really wanted Moss to win a Super Bowl. I mean, I loved Randy Moss. I wanted him so bad.
I would have loved to see that.
They were 16-0. He had like 30
Super
touchdowns.
Bowl homeboy.
I mean, didn't he have like 30 touchdowns that year? It was
something crazy like that.
30 that year?
Yeah, I think
was that 2008?
Didn't he have 2,000 yards receiving and 30 touchdowns? I mean, it's something ridiculous.
Well, Brady had almost 60 or something that year. Didn't he have?
He had 50. He had 50. Yeah, it was the most insane year of offense that this planet has ever been witness to. And I mean, they just made it look so easy. I mean, Brady and Moss I've never seen. I mean, we watch Moss with Cunningham and with Jeff George. We saw him do some crazy things. I've never seen anything look so easy as Brady and Moss.
That was a good Super Bowl, right? That was one that came down on the wire.
Yeah,
the Giants one?
I mean, that was the one with the helmet catch where he pinned it on his head.
Yep.
I mean, that was. I don't remember who was. Well, I'm assuming the Patriots were favored heavily. Yes. Yeah. And the Giants made it a game and won.
Yeah. I mean, as an underdog, the longer you stick around.
Is that the one that Randy Moss had a chance at the end?
I don't recall.
Had a pass thrown to him and. Anyway,
I mean, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. If the Patriots are 15-1, they win that game by 2 touchdowns. But when you are 16-0, then slash 18-0 going into that game, you're not playing against the Giants. You're playing against history. And all of a sudden, you're in a close game with the Giants, and you start to feel it. I mean, had that team been 15-1 during the regular season, they would have fucking rolled the Giants.
So if Gary Anderson went wide right, we would have won the Super Bowl in '99.
I'm not necessarily saying that. I mean, we had a lot of injuries in that game. I mean, we would have been a mess in the Super Bowl. I mean, John Randall,
and that was back when there wasn't 2 weeks. I think.
I don't remember that because it's gone off and on. I mean, it was 2 weeks. It was 1 week. I mean, it's gone back and forth. So I don't remember what.
I think it was the following Sunday.
But we were pretty banged up. Let's get our first break in. It's the Jeff Dubay Show, talking a little Super Bowl with personality and fitness expert Jason Linse and Jason McGovern on the Alive and Social Network.
Hi, I'm Terry Daniel, and I've been a voice actor in Minneapolis for over 2 decades now. How often are you getting compliments on your voice? Now is the time to do something about it. If you're interested in getting into voiceovers, please contact me via my website at universalvoicetalent.com.
Folks who've listened to the show, they know that I lived in the Uptown area here, right down Pleasant Avenue, as a matter of fact, and on the corner of Pleasant Lake is where Uptown Pawn is. And I have been here numerous times, had numerous business dealings with them. It's just a nice place with good, honest people. Bob Jacobson, the owner, you run the place. You've always been good to me.
Thanks, Jeff. We try. That's part of our business. We're here to help people, and so everybody walks in the door. We hope we can help.
Well, what I've always appreciated is when people are nice to people who are the low man on the totem pole. Like when I was a bat boy, I like the star guys who are nice to the bat boy. Right. And I mean, I came in here and you guys didn't know who I was. You didn't know I had a radio show, and you treated me great. I mean, just a guy up the street.
Listen, that's the idea with I think a smaller family type business. Somebody walks in the door. We don't want to let them see everybody gets treated the same way, and we hope that's the case. And we don't want to see them leave without. We try our very best.
It's really easy. It's easy. It's low pressure. Good, honest people. Right on the corner of Lake Street and Pleasant Avenue. You guys got to check out Uptown Pawn. We're mixing some new bumpers in this show. What do you think?
I dig them.
Yeah, you're a Bowie guy.
Word.
I don't know if you saw me. I spent some of the day. When you got home, I was hanging out at your place. You got back, and I was sitting at the computer. I was emailing shit to McGovern.
Okay.
Don't you remember when I did?
As opposed to
sweeping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cracker, please.
Anyway, back to the Jeff Dubay Show, part of the Alive and Social Network. A lot of great things going on. I listened to a little bit of the Sex Cast the other day. Then I rubbed it out and turned it off. It's like a porn scene. You can't get all the way through it. It is what
I have no doubt that's true.
Oh, God. No, I'm just kidding. I was very respectful. But it's exactly...
Well, they didn't know you were jerking off. Why would they care?
It's exactly,
they don't care.
It's exactly what I thought it would be.
It's probably encouraged on that show.
But anyway, it's Kelly Guest, and I forget... what was the one who was the head of Fantasy Gifts?
I forget her name.
That's the co-host. She's the co-host. I can't think of it.
What did Boss Man say?
Bernard, are you in here?
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, great chemistry, great combination, and like I said, Kelly Guest sounds sexy. She's perfect for it. Don't rub your nipples. God, that's just I can't believe that he just did that. And I said, yes, it was a he.
Pays attention to my nipples, so I gotta do it.
Oh my God, there's some weird conversations. Weird conversations have taken place in these rooms, like when we're sitting here talking breast implants with some woman, and your daughter is in the next room. There's some sketchy stuff. Sketchy stuff has been going on around here.
Keep the kids out of here.
Yeah. I mean, I was here the other day.
Dangerous.
Well, the Alive and Social Network is it colors outside the lines. I mean, it kind of goes in.
It's a great way of putting it.
Yeah, I mean, there's it's a hard thing to describe because, I mean, it's currently like 10, 12 shows strong, and there's a lot of others in the hopper. And I mean, if you subscribe to Alive and Social, you could hear from minute to minute, Terry Ryan breaking down, what this year means for Joe Mauer and his career, and then flip over to another show and instantly hear a woman talking about what's new in vibrators. I mean, I'm not making that up. I mean, like literally, that's where the Alive and Social will bounce to these crazy places. You'll turn this show on expecting sports, and you'll hear this manic host missing a front tooth talking a mile a minute while he's having a mild stroke on the air, and then you flip it over to it might get ugly, and you hear Julius Collins breaking down a racial related issue of the day. I mean, we're all over the map around here,
and we got to get. That looks awesome.
Isn't that great? It's been loose for 3 months. You knew I had a loose tooth, right?
Oh, I know. It's been loose for a while.
It finally fell out.
So the show that we need to get on, is a fitness show with my man Jason here.
Yeah.
So if you are a business that owns any kind of a fitness type of place, or you endorse those types of products, nutrition, please contact me, Sean, SEAN, at aliveandsocial.com. We are talking to a few places right now, but we would love to get Jason rolling on a fitness show.
Yep.
And...
Because we sure as hell can't get him on a personality show.
That's a good point. That's a really... How many times have you had him on?
This is the 4th. I think he's like my Alec Baldwin.
Make some new friends.
I wanted to give him a tour of the new place, too, the new facility.
Thanks, Sean.
Yeah. I guess I can't have it.
I like the Alec Baldwin reference. I'll take that.
Because he's like the all-time SNL host in terms of appearances. I guess who would be my Steve Martin? Who's my second place runner in that?
It's probably. God.
Have I leaned on anybody else besides him? Maybe Patrick Disher. He's been on a couple.
Disher's been on a couple times.
This is like number 6, by the way.
Is it really?
Yeah. He's been on a couple times.
Next time's lucky number 7.
Yeah, he might be my Steve Martin. But I don't have a guest for tomorrow yet. I'm just thinking about getting Nadine to come back in.
There you go.
I I could have done tomorrow instead of today?
Gopher talk.
I didn't know. I mean, was this today bad for you?
No.
I mean, I'm sorry to inconvenience. I mean, I know you had to walk 5 blocks. I only had to get here from Cottage Grove. So, I mean, I hope that will work out for you, okay? Cottage Grove is in the middle of nowhere.
No, that's my hometown.
I had to bring your Parmesan cheese.
Cottage Grove is so far away. It is. I mean, it's not even hardly Minnesota.
No, all my buddies live out there, and I don't ever see them because it's
Iowa. Might as well be Iowa.
It's crazy. I think I'm pretty sure I could walk to Rochester. I mean, it's more or less.
Hop, skip.
Sam Jacobson's parents.
Oh, that's right. He is a Cottage Grove guy. That's right. A man who I don't know if I should respect it or mock it, that he missed game action due to a video game injury. Do you remember when his back locked
Sam
up so
Jacobson?
bad? Yeah, he spent like. He spent like 8 hours. Yeah, he spent like 8 hours. I do remember that. He spent like 8 hours though playing it, like without moving, like in a chair slouched playing a video game, probably Call of Duty or something.
Yep.
You know, guys get into these goofy marathons, and he spent like 8 to 10 hours playing this video game, and his back was so effed up he missed like the next game.
Yeah, well, didn't he like jump up or something and threw his back out? Isn't that how he did it? Yeah,
I mean, it was all about spending 8 to 10 hours in a video game chair and then jumping up and getting stiff and then getting up too fast. I mean, it was a video game injury. I mean, there's just no. It's
the only one recorded.
I mean, I can understand maybe getting carpal tunnel or maybe a cuticle gets infected or something. But I mean, how do you hurt your back playing video games? It's fucking weird. But I'd say again, I don't know if that makes him a hero of mine or just a sympathetic figure or just a complete jackass. I don't know where to fall.
Or all three.
Yeah, there is overlap. There's no doubt.
Speaking of Gophers, 2-6.
Man. Who's next? There's still this week stretch of schedule.
At Penn State on Wednesday.
Oh, they might get fucking stormed out.
6 p.m. Wednesday at Penn State.
If they can get there. They're not sure they can make the travel.
Shoot, that's right.
Yeah, it might get rescheduled. I'm up in current
wow.
events. I'm up northeaster weather storm fronts and shit. Calcutta Clippers comes in.
How
comes
could
out.
you not know? All you gotta do is have one Facebook friend from out east.
So nobody just got my Denny reference? I know all about the Calcutta Clipper. Comes in, goes out. Lakefront
swings
effect.
Up, swings down.
Lakefront effect. I mean, it's just the most ridiculous.
So it won't be a typical.
How much fun was he having when he said that? Jesus.
I mean, what the fuck's a Calcutta Clipper?
He's just making shit up as he goes.
Well, I think he meant Alberta Clipper because that is an actual.
That would be a thing.
That's an actual weather phenomenon. It's a front that comes in, it comes down, it goes into the lakeside effect. I mean, the whole thing was fucking ridiculous.
And he had the biggest smile on his face the whole time.
And it's like you don't know. I mean, the only thing you know about the weather in Buffalo when you get there is what the weather people tell you, and that's all you need to know. None of us go in our basement and run these fucking what do they call them? Run models. I mean, we don't run the model to see the extended forecast. You don't. Danny, you can admit you just watch the news to get the that's how you get your weather, just like the rest of us. You don't go and check your backyard Doppler.
I bet Belichick does.
Well, yeah, he might. I mean, he's very.
Well, they probably changed the weather.
Yeah.
Well, Jesus, what's this? This guy's looks like. Oh, by the way, I was going to say this guy looks like a terrorist with this thing on.
Speaking of the sex show,
I've never hated.
What the hell is that?
I don't know, but he looks like a terrorist. It's like a sleeper cell.
It's like a gas mask.
I'm scared.
It's creepy. It's I don't know what that is, but
with a Super Bowl hat.
It's a player for the Seahawks. He wears some sort of mask on his face when he goes down to the field to warm up. It looks like almost like a really, really advanced surgical mask kind of a thing. Like he's trying to not get sick or something.
Bizarre.
It was bizarre. I have no idea what it is, but
maybe he's a germaphobe.
Saying that he kind of looks like a terrorist just brought something to mind from yesterday that bugged me. The one day you get on a plane and travel to Arizona, this is a close circuit to Russell Wilson, you dress and look like a fucking terrorist. Did you see him?
No, I did not.
He had like some crazy scarf and a full beard.
I'm going to work to Google.
It's like he dressed like a terrorist for his flight to Arizona. It was fucking bizarre. I mean,
think he did it to make headlines or something?
Well,
I mean, what the
well, it's a private jet, I'm assuming, right? I don't think it's...
Well, here's the other thing that bothered me about it is he's
not going through security.
No, but by seeing him and what he looked like at this press conference, you could tell that this is a guy who has started taking himself way too seriously. I mean, he could not possibly have looked like a bigger douchebag. I mean, he's like trying to be all... You know what he's trying to do? He's trying to upstage Brady. He had the scarf like all wrapped around his neck, just bright.
Was he wearing Uggs?
Was this today?
It was yesterday's press conference he appeared in. And I believe it was the day that they traveled. Maybe it could have been Sunday. Yeah, it was probably Sunday. That would have been the day they traveled. So I believe it was the travel day. He could not, to me, for my money.
I can't find it, so
for my money, he couldn't look like a bigger douchebag. And I thought also, just a little unfortunate, that he kind of, with a full beard, kind of looked a little bit like a terrorist. But I mean, for the day you travel, it's not the look you're looking for. But I don't know. I've never disliked Russell Wilson, despite his Badger heritage. And what a scam that was. I mean, a guy who's going to be a fifth-year senior. I get the rule. Like if the school you're at doesn't offer the major that you've selected, you can transfer to a school that does and not have to sit out a year. Do you really think that Russell Wilson was up against it academically at NC State? Where I really want to go into.
Do we even know what he went for?
No, he wanted to. He wants to. It was let's say I really want to go into to raptor veterinary medicine. He wants to fix birds. I don't know, but he would have said anything. That he would have looked at any option that doesn't exist.
He found a major that didn't exist at Wisconsin.
Yeah. No, it didn't exist at NC State. That does exist at Wisconsin.
State,
yeah. I mean, it's just. I mean, to think that Russell Wilson had to get out of NC State because his academic career depended on it. I mean,
that's a loophole that you'd think you'd see more or see used more often.
I believe they've either closed it or they're attempting to close it. It's a fucking ridiculous rule. I mean, Wisconsin got a free agent quarterback and went to the Rose Bowl. It was it was a joke, and it did an absolute travesty. But I mean, again, Russell Wilson, he's not just an athlete; he's a student athlete, and his academic career was in peril.
Did he graduate?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, you should. They could keep that rule in effect, but then if you fail to graduate, you should be shot.
Yeah, well, yeah, or beaten senseless
at
least.
Not exaggerate or anything.
The phone's going crazy. I'm going to have to sit.
They do have mute on.
Look at that. Well, I know I should have turned the ringer off, but nobody ever calls. Nobody calls or texts. It's a sad,
mover and a shaker.
It's a sad and lonely life I'm living. And now somebody just sent me 7 consecutive text messages. This is not.
Well, you know what, though, with Russell Wilson, did anyone think he was going to go pro before he went to Wisconsin? I mean, did anybody ever think he was going to be that good anyway?
I don't remember him.
I don't think anybody was worried about that.
When they got him, it was a big deal. I mean, he was better than people expected. But, I mean, he was a guy who had been like a 3-year starter, 3-year starter at NC State. And I mean, Wisconsin, we see what their quarterback situation's been in recent years. I mean, they've really tried to patch it together with some real shit. I mean, it was a big deal. I don't think they would have won the Big Ten or gone to the Rose Bowl without him. Of course, they lost to TCU that year, I believe. But it was just, I don't know. It just that's such a ridiculous rule. And to think that there's somebody, that could be a significant student. I'm not saying that Russell Wilson didn't care about academics. I'm not saying that he's just nothing but a dumb jock. He seems like a pretty intelligent, articulate guy. But I mean, come on. The reason he wanted to get out of there and go to Wisconsin was to further his football career. I mean, he was the one missing element on a plug and play team. But a team that had a great defense, a great running back, offense, had everything but a quarterback. It was just,
and again, he found a loophole and he was opportunistic. So I'm not so sure that.
It's not his fault.
No, it's not
his fault. No, it's not.
It's a dumb rule that sounds like they maybe have taken care of.
Yeah. Well, I think they either have closed it up or they've tightened it up. They're working on it.
I mean, how many schools don't have majors? I mean, I'm curious to find out what he chose.
Yeah,
because I wonder what
NC
State, Wisconsin,
obscure.
Underwater basket weaving. I mean, maybe that does exist.
Right.
It had to be something really lame. I mean, because any of the majors. Yeah. Any school has the basics.
These guys all major in like kinesiology anyway, or something,
or sports management.
Which
like the entire Gopher hockey team, it's always traditionally been.
Which was my major. I shouldn't make fun of
sports management. It is what it is, and your squad. All they do is get to number 1 in the country and then lose to Bemidji. Come on, man.
Oh, Minnesota State Mankato.
He's a Mankato Maverick.
Yeah, but I mean, they don't lose the number 1 ranking because of that, do they?
They filled a 4th.
No shit.
Yes, and they're making North Dakota number 1, by the way. So thanks for that.
Bemidji State knocked them to number 4. Were they that bad?
Bemidji State's pretty bad.
Okay,
but they did beat the Gophers the night before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the Gophers suck.
That's true.
But still, it's
still the Gophers.
It's a great year for Minnesota State, Mankato.
It is.
My alma mater.
We'll see how it finishes up. But I tell you this. I was thinking about this on the ride over, and I couldn't really come up with any good examples. So I don't know that either of you will either. But I don't know how. I know you don't care for hockey at all. I don't know if either of you have a good feel for just how epic this collapse is, but I don't know that I've ever seen a team that is so far away from its preseason projection. I mean, this might be the biggest single most disappointing sports team in the history of Minnesota sports. I'm not talking about in terms of how much people care, because I mean that's debatable. I'm talking about just in terms of how. Hey, look, me and Tiger, we're like got the same thing going on. And I'm talking about like in terms of how far removed your reality is from your expectation. I mean, this is epic. I mean, they're going to miss the NCAA tournament unless they win their Big Ten championship.
I don't follow hockey, and I hate the sport, and I'm paying attention because it's epic.
It's outrageous. I mean, this team was, on paper, the best team in the country last year, and they lost in the championship game to Union. They had basically a 2.5-minute stretch where they forgot to play any defense, and it cost them a game. But on paper, I would argue they were the best team in college hockey last year. So what do? They bring everybody back, including an all-world goaltender.
They didn't lose any good players?
Well, they had a couple seniors. Nate Condon, the senior captain.
Don't look at me like I'm going to know them.
He was a good player. I mean, again,
they kept the core, right?
They returned as much as I've seen a team return in college. I mean,
they turned several All-American type players.
Yeah, I mean, college hockey is a sport where you have a lot of turnover because guys, they've been drafted before they get there. So I mean, it's not like football or basketball where you got a team that already owns your rights, and after your freshman year they can start negotiating with you. After your sophomore, I mean, every year they're throwing offers at you. So I mean, if you're any good, and typically the Gophers have 2/3, if not 3/4 of their team drafted, the opportunity to go it's there. So hockey has more turnover than any, maybe baseball. I don't know. Baseball's a different deal because if you don't, you get drafted out of high school. But if you go to college, they lose your rights. Then you don't get drafted again. So I think college hockey is just in a unique position where they did just have more turnover than any sport. So for the Gophers to get to as far as they got last year, the championship game, and it fell apart. But to get that far and then return what you returned this year, to me it was almost unprecedented. I mean, I'd have to go way back to like the late 90s where Michigan had some outrageous teams. And they kept coming back year after year, like Brendan Morrison, who played the NHL forever with Vancouver. John Madden, Mike Legg. I mean, Mike Legg was the guy who scored that crazy-looking lacrosse goal.
John Madden was a coach for the Raiders.
But he also was the all-time probably best penalty killer in the history of the NHL for the New Jersey Devils. Okay. Do you remember Mike Legg? He's the guy who scored the crazy lacrosse goal against the Gophers from behind the net.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the era of Michigan hockey I'm talking about. They had Marty Turco, who played years in the NHL with the Dallas Stars. So, I mean, again, this college hockey history lesson doesn't mean much to most. But those Michigan teams, somehow, as dominant as they were every year, those guys kept coming back. They never lost any. But since then, I mean, that's the late 90s. We're talking 15 years it's been probably since a team brought back the talent that Minnesota brought back this year. I mean, a team that was on the brink of a national championship, returning, like you said, All-American type talent, NHL talent, guys like Hudson Fasching, who are going to be impact players. Brady Shea will be impact players in the National Hockey League. And then they all come back because Wilcox did, and they said, well, if the goalie comes back, we got a chance. So he did, and it has been such a fucking disaster. I mean, I have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. I'm not close to the team this year. I'm not officially affiliated with any media outlet. I've just been watching from afar like a fan. I mean, I've heard there's problems between among the coaching staff, players that squabble, no unity. I mean, it's just as bad as it could possibly be behind the scenes. But all that aside, and just looking at where you expected to be to where you are, I can't remember a Minnesota sports team that has fallen more flat than this. I mean, in any sport at any level. I mean, this is so far removed from where they should be.
And they picked what a year they picked, Loserville, USA.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, the Lynx suck even, right? They're probably average right now. I mean, this we could have had something. We could have. I would have fallen on that bandwagon, and I hate hockey.
I'm telling you, and it happened to come in a year where there were actually some expectations for the Wild, obviously, and then they're
high expectations,
and they're shitting the
bed. The basketball team was supposed to be better too. The Gopher basketball team was supposed to be better.
Gopher hoops,
they're supposed to be like a 6
I feel bad for them. They've legitimately had some bad luck. I mean, they really have. I mean, I know you got to take a game by the throat at the end and step up and be a man. But I mean, they've had some bad luck. I mean,
they haven't lost any players. They played shitty.
Well, when you lose, I guess I have a hard time. You got a point here. Like when you lose consecutively, I mean, just game after game after game by 2, 3, 4 points. Is it bad luck or is it just man up and fucking do it at some point?
Look at their free throw percentage.
Oh, it's bad.
If they shot normal, and me and Buddy were talking about this. I don't look at the statistics across college basketball, but I'm guessing overall they're down compared to 20 years ago because the game has changed. Do you think that's a fair assessment?
Well, what do you mean? What's down?
Well, nobody shoots free throws anymore. Nobody does mid-range jumpers. These guys just they shoot threes and they go underneath.
Yeah, there's no
fundamentals. So there's no 90% free throw shooters anymore.
But they still practice free throws for an hour.
Well, that's
practice,
what I'm wondering.
Right?
I don't know. You think Richard Pitino Jr. would figure this out? Hey, we're gonna. You're not because I wouldn't let those guys leave the fucking gym until they made 10 in a row.
But see, this is what's unique about free throws, and it all comes down to, in my opinion, an element of almost sports psychology, which is a fascinating field because there's nothing about free throw shooting that's perplexing or complex or complicated or can't be figured out. I mean, like Shaquille O'Neal was such a fucking embarrassment. You think to yourself, well, look, anybody can practice. You don't need anything to practice. You just stand at the fucking free throw line and shoot. I mean, you don't need a team. You don't need drills. You don't need a guy with a whistle.
It's like practicing 6-foot putts on. Golf course.
There's just no reason why you can't just sit there and do it until you have a feel for it. And I don't care about form. I don't care about how you want to fucking go granny style. There's the basket on the garage. Anybody can practice free throws. Anybody. So you really think that there's no room for allowing subpar performance at the free throw line? But free throws are about fucking confidence, about blocking out fucking a crowd, about forgetting the situations. I mean, free throws are mental. Free throws are as mental as a 3-foot putt.
I agree. So once the team starts sucking, I think it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, don't you think?
Yes, I do.
They lose their confidence.
Everybody's watching, and we're sucking, and it's even if it's some subconscious. I think maybe what these guys might need to do. I thought about this. They need to start jump shooting these things.
You can't.
Yeah, you can.
You can. You're allowed.
You can do it.
You couldn't leave the floor on a
You're allowed.
free
No,
throw.
you're allowed. And
you can't cross the line.
And I've seen, God, just in the last couple of years, and I thought it was a Gopher player who even did it. Somebody who struggled so badly. He took 2 steps back from the free throw line.
There's a guy
and shot from just inside the top of the key.
I got to get this out. There's a guy I played against in high school who's listening right now. He's at the Phoenix Open, Waste Management Open, nice. and he on Facebook he said he was going to listen. I forgot, Scott. He jump shot fucking free throws. And this is 88, 89, 90 in southern Minnesota small time basketball. He was the only guy to do this, but I think he was onto something back then. He's onto something now. He's on something now. He's on something back then.
Well, I remember somebody for the Gophers just a few years ago. He had such a mental block from the free throw line. He took 2 steps back and shot a jumper from just inside the top of the key. He didn't last. He did it for like a game, and then he switched back. And it might have been God, the guy who just did Damian Johnson. It might have been Damian Johnson, the guy who was just a senior 2 years ago. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Damien, wasn't his name?
That name does not ring a bell.
Why can't I think of his name?
Yeah.
He was part of Tubby's Underachievers.
Why don't we? That's a long list.
Small forward.
That's a long list.
34 small. Why can't I think of his name? I'm so bad at names.
Why don't we sneak in our last break and you look it up?
Okay, last year, 2013, I lived just down the road, Pleasant Avenue, just a few blocks here from Uptown Pond, which is right on the corner of Lake and Pleasant. And, there are a couple of times, you just try to get to that next payday, maybe a couple of bucks short. If you've got some items, jewelry, diamonds, electronics, you come down here and they give you a fair price for it, and then you come back a week later, 2 weeks later, whatever, you get it back at a real reasonable price.
So we're very competitive, we hope, on different angles, in different ends and different articles. Computers, electronics, TVs, jewelry. We buy, we give loans, and we also have emphasis on diamond jewelry too, that we also try and give credit for the best we can. We're specialists in that area also, so it's an all-round sort of combination.
Well, it's a great place. It's a nice, clean place with honest people, and I tell you what, it's got a real family feel to it. As a matter of fact, it's tied into Strauss family, and I go way back with the late, great Jerry. So, these are people I know and people I trust. You can find them on Twitter, too, by the way. They're at Uptown Pond, and also on Facebook, Uptown Pond, and uptownpond.net. We're really classing it up with the bumpers. I'm trying a little harder. These are my favorites. I love this song. This is a great song.
I went home with a waitress.
I wish.
The way I always do.
I love this song. You know who he was like best friends with? David Letterman. They loved each other.
Warren Zevon?
Yeah, they were tight.
Yeah.
He
was on the show about 10 times.
Yeah, he basically credited Letterman for the success in his career. And then I believe when he was his last appearance, when he was on the show, dying of cancer, just basically the words of wisdom that he left. He just said, "Don't wait 20 years to go to the doctor." I think is what he said,
and
more or less.
And enjoy every sandwich.
Yeah, that too. Very, very, very deep, very profound. And that was his last appearance, and he passed away shortly thereafter. What was it? Cancer?
Yes.
But it was natural cause. It wasn't like something he.
Yes, he died within a few months of that appearance. It's great. You can actually YouTube that whole episode.
Yeah.
It's. Anybody out there who
basically the whole
who doesn't
show?
Know Warren Zevon or only knows Werewolves of London.
Yeah.
Was
the whole show
Excitable Boys an awesome album? Number one. Number two, you can YouTube that whole episode.
Was it? Was he on the
tribute.
whole show?
Yeah, it was a tribute to him.
Yeah, because they knew he was gone.
Yeah, and then he did I think another episode after he died. But anyway.
I might do that later.
Yeah.
After I do that.
Good, clean fun.
After I YouTube all the Predator shows that you told me about.
Yeah, those are good.
Yeah, Jason basically spent a weekend YouTubing To Catch a Predator. He watched all.
I was
of them.
sucked in. I didn't come out the same. In fact, now I'm starting to feel that weirdness again because you got to be careful watching that. It's just creepy.
Apparently, I wound up on the cutting room floor. Thank God. No, I'm just kidding. I was never on To Catch a Predator. That's one of my favorite episodes.
I just kept waiting for Dubay to walk in.
It's one of my favorite episodes of 30 Rock when Liz catches her boyfriend on To Catch a Predator.
Oh my God,
that's fucking hilarious.
Seriously, on an episode of 30 Rock?
Yeah. She had this really bad boyfriend. He was like one of the funniest characters I've ever. His name was Dennis. One of the funniest characters I've ever seen in a sitcom. It's the guy who plays Mayhem in the Allstate commercials. He's fucking hilarious. Oh God, he's funny. He's just like the most perfect word, bad boyfriend of all time. It's empty. It's got the cap on. Relax.
Thank God.
But PTI. PTI comes on. I haven't seen PTI in 2 years since I swore off live television. I haven't seen PTI once. I could get it on WatchESPN.com.
I don't even know what it stands for.
Pardon the interruption.
Now I do.
Yeah, it's by the way, a revolutionary idea in television. Putting the upcoming topics on the side of the screen, so you know what they're going to talk about. Putting a time limit on it to keep it short and bite-sized for the ADD folks like myself. It was revolutionary television. As a matter of fact, the guy I worked for at Fox Sports at FSN gave himself a ton of credit for the development of the show, and I really don't know how much he had to do with it. but he'd just come to FSN. He wanted to revolutionize things and do things differently. And he goes, yeah, when I was at ESPN and we were coming up with ideas like PTI and Around the Horn. He gave himself a ton of credit for it. His name was Joseph Marr, and he was a super nice guy, great guy. But I'm not sure just how factual. He didn't last at FSN. I can tell you that. He wasn't there too long.
Too bad.
But I don't know exactly how much he had to do with this. But I tried to respect him just for the fact that he tried to take credit for it. That's a ballsy move.
How tough would that be if you had a time limit on everything we talked about?
I don't know.
You had 2 minutes. Go. That would be really
let's try it. Let's try it.
I think I'd kind of like it.
Let's try it.
I think I'd kind of like it, to be honest with you.
Well, we'll come up with a clock. And you get 2 minutes here. You get 1 minute there. You get a break, and then you get 3 minutes here.
I need structures. I don't. I'm not a self-starter. I need that kind of structure. I need to be put.
I kind of like the free form, but it would be interesting just to put you in a little bit of a box like that.
Well, I mean, with me, free form turns into some really weird shit. I mean, it's.
Well, Wild Wednesday's going to end when the season ends, so you have to come up with something.
Well, we're going to do the Twins Tuesdays. I got Twins Tuesdays coming up. But if I haven't made that clear to folks, we're gonna dive into the Twins on a weekly basis on Twins Tuesdays with my guests. You know what? I'm going to keep people in suspenders. We're going to keep them in suspenders because I can't pronounce one of the guys' last names. It's Powder, Ted Schwetzler.
Yes. Oh yeah.
We call him Powder. Bald and pale. Yeah. Oh, Ted, relax. You know we love you. Brandon Warren will be the other member of that triumvirate. Thanks to Jason Linse. Thanks for Live and Social. Make sure you check out liveandsocial.com. Host us the show. Joanne Unfiltered, who happens to have... Who's the guest today? Dave St. Peter. Yeah, it was probably cocky as hell that North Dakota's #1 in the country. He's a UND grad. That's son of a bitch.
I was gambling in